Hello and welcome to the Market Minute. My name is Eric Odum. I'm the principal real estate broker for ROI Commercial Property Brokerage in Tampa, Florida. Today we have with us Patrick Manteiga, and we'd like to say that 6 weeks ago we interviewed Patrick before the RNC. We promised we'd come back and interview him again for a recap of the RNC. For those of you who don't know, Patrick was the token Democrat on the RNC host committee. He also runs La Gaceta, which is the oldest minority newspaper in the country, as well as the only trilingual newspaper in the country. So welcome, Patrick. Thanks so much again for joining us.
I'm glad you came back, and I survived.
Perfect.
And so did you.
I survived too, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about economic development efforts with the convention. I know Rick Scott had planned on having a number of events, and that never really seemed to materialize. So let's talk a little bit more about the economic development from a 30,000-foot level, companies coming here and whatnot.
Okay. Well, not only Rick Scott had planned, but I think there was some local plans by the chamber and others to really try and market ourselves. I think there was hopes by groups that we could market ourselves to media and get some Tampa stories out. I think that from the broadest perspective, and generally when you market, name recognition is one of the first things that you want to have happen. I think Tampa did a good job. I think that just having the convention here, Tampa's name was mentioned over and over again in national and international media. I think people now know better where we're on the map. I think they're more familiar with our name. As far as individual marketing efforts to bring Company A to Tampa to have a good conversation with an executive about what is needed here or what we can offer them, I don't think that happened. And I think if it did happen, we didn't have any good visuals to go with it. We weren't offering a Tampa that looked good, that felt good, that was active, that was exciting. We offered a Tampa that most of us don't experience, a Tampa that was blockaded, blocked off, that was under tight security. That's not the Tampa I know. It's not the Ybor City that I normally feel, or the downtown I feel, the South Howard district. All these had a different feel this time, so I don't think we really made a good pitch. And then, of course, our governor got very distracted by the real threat of a hurricane. Now, maybe what we did prove is that, number one, near misses by hurricanes aren't really a huge problem when it comes to the area, and that we can certainly absorb a little bit of rain, and you can still have a party. You just have to move it from outside to inside. So in some ways, having the near miss might have proven to some people that Florida is not an unsafe place to have events, that you actually have to get a direct hit by one of these things to have a real problem.
So just in summary a little bit, you feel like we got great coverage, but we probably didn't do a great job of trying to control the message that was getting out.
I don't know if we closed any deals. We were out there. I don't know if the media captured any of the authentic side of our area. When you watch the coverage, the Morning Joes of the world and this kind of stuff, they were in kind of a created atmosphere, an atmosphere that they made up, that they wanted, not one that was reflective of Tampa. They should have had it on La Teresita. They should have had it at the Tropicana restaurant.
West Tampa Sandwich Shop.
West Tampa Sandwich Shop. Somewhere like that. Instead, they had it in Channelside in a place where in the morning you would never go. Regulars didn't hang out. All these people were imported in. These aren't people who go to any breakfast place early in the morning and talk trash about politics.
Which West Tampa is the greatest trash-talking place in town. Let's talk about the local businesses. Obviously, the barricades sort of made a Tampa green zone, and it seemed to be difficult for the conventioneers to come back and forth between and actually touch people that were actually Tampa natives and Tampa restaurants and Tampa other activities.
I agree. I also agree. I would also say that in some ways we were trying to market or hope to have walk-in traffic from a group that had no desire to just walk around Tampa and experience it. The conventioneers are a group of people that are looking to do things that are within the party. They're looking to go to the most lavish galas. They're looking for the most exclusive venues. Most of them are trying to collect as many cards to hang from their credentials as possible, so that they've got the best party, the best pass. That's the game they're playing. So walking down to the local coffee shop is what would happen if you were a loser who couldn't get a pass to anywhere.
I had a perimeter pass. I wasn't a complete loser.
That's the reason why Monday probably was one of the better days for local businesses, because the threat of the storm, of course, the convention was canceled after the first few minutes of it that day, and then a lot of the parties were canceled or changed, or the times were reorganized. So all of a sudden, people had free time, and you did see the best business days in Eborn, downtown, and the rest of Tampa being Monday, because these people were now freed up, and you weren't putting 2,000 at one party, 3,000 at another party, and doing that kind of stuff. So, we finally got a little bit of what happened. I think that when you looked at North Carolina, which seemed to have a lot more walking traffic, a lot more of that might have also just been from the sheer numbers of difference between the Democratic and Republican convention. This is a smaller convention. You generally have the same parties for both conventions. So, of course, there's probably more Democrats that are outside of those parties, because you just can't pack as many in. So you probably had a lot more Democrats who had free time, who were walking around. Here in Tampa, you didn't have Republicans who had a lot of free time. The extra events could keep them busy.
Yeah, and just contrast and compare Charlotte, which is, from an economic development standpoint, is one of our primary competitors. How do you think they fared compared to Tampa?
I think that generally there was a better view of it, a better feel of it, but also that could have been for the convention itself. Most political pundits would tell you the Democratic convention was more upbeat, was more exciting. The stars performed better. So that might have made the difference both inside the convention centers and outside the convention centers. The Republican convention was pretty downbeat, was fairly negative. You had a storm looming. It was kind of a gloom and doom for the first few days, and that might have depressed the spirits of the area, might have depressed the party atmosphere.
Yeah, and we look, getting back to sort of the city aspect of it, it seemed like the Charlotte businesses were pretty happy because there's a lot of activity going on perimeter. And my office was north of the green zone off of Tampa Street, and there was tumbleweeds blowing down. Then most of the restaurants were vacant, and Howard restaurants, which I really thought would be hopping, with exception of Sideburns and Burns, everybody else was pretty quiet. I think a lot of the locals fled, and it ended up not materializing the way that I think many of the locals thought it was going to materialize.
I absolutely agree. And the other part that we have that North Carolina didn't. Another problem we had is that the majority of our delegates weren't staying in our county. They were staying over in Pinellas. And so this is a big bridge to cross. It's a big bay to cross. It's a long bus ride. So we had a long transportation. There's long drive in, long drive out. And, for every hour they're in the bus is an hour they're not spending money. And so I think that, it's a lesson to be learned here that our lack of transportation has a serious cost to us. If we had that train between Pinellas and Tampa, those people wouldn't have had to get on that bus. But that was their only transportation back, or what, a $50 cab ride, $60 cab ride. So, you either got on the bus or you got left behind in Tampa. I think out in North Carolina you had some other options.
What do we do well?
I think we had the best security that money could buy. I think the Times Forum did an excellent job of setting itself up. I think the owner there, Vinnick, basically turned over that facility and made it what the Republicans wanted, and I think he should be congratulated for his efforts in trying to make this a success. You saw the Bay Area cooperate pretty well. That was a good thing. And you saw all of our agencies work together correctly. You saw our police be the most professional police force ever, with all of that extra security, with all of that expectations of doom and gloom. Our police force might have looked a lot tougher and meaner, but when they talked to you, they were kind, they were helpful, they were courteous. And so I think those were the good things here.
Fast forward 3, 4, 5 years, they ask us to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
What's Tampa going to say?
If Bob Buckhorn's married, probably would say, heck no. It's probably like the pain of birth. If you remembered it, you never have another child. He would remember it. Maybe a new mayor would say yes. Would we do things differently? The mayor says absolutely not. I think that we would probably make a few changes. I think that you learn some stuff. First of all, I don't think any money we spent on landscaping, road paving, anything like that was worth it. You didn't see it from the bus. You weren't.
They didn't see
looking at
Bayshore. They weren't there.
Yeah, $7 million to repave Bayshore, complete waste. Should we have a security plan? I think you should have a couple of them. An A plan and a B plan, maybe even a C plan, where you can ramp up or ramp down security based on what's necessary. Some small changes that could have made a big difference in downtown businesses. Instead of feeding the police and law enforcement with caterers in one tent, giving them a voucher to buy their own lunches at the Subways downtown and at the other restaurants downtown, could have made sure those businesses stayed full. And actually sold things, and those businesses are the ones that hurt. So if they didn't get a contract to cater, they really did suffer tremendously.
Mm-hmm. So long term,
Mm-hmm.
do you think there was a lot of discussion going into this that this was going to be a big coup for the state of Florida and for Tampa from an economic development standpoint? Is there going to be any significant material development from the activities that took place?
Well, at the end of the day, there's probably hundreds of businesses whose bottom line this year is better than what it would have been. There's a few businesses that their bottom line is not going to be better. I am on the Cuban Club Foundation, and we had 3 parties. They were very successful. We made a lot of money, and we'll be able to, we already have made some repairs to the club. Our venue will be better because of it. We have better infrastructure in downtown with communications, with cell phones and things like this, cell towers that will allow us to have some growth and allow us to host other big events. There's now nothing that somebody can say Tampa can't do. You might be able to argue somebody can do it better, but if we went after the Olympics or whatever, we now have the ability to show that we can handle long events, we can handle many days, that this area can do it. So I think all of those things are good and have a long-term residual effect. Do we get 5 Fortune 500 companies relocating? If that was our hope, I think we're going to fail on that one. I just don't think that's going to happen, but I don't know anybody who was really predicting that. Some people were hoping. Some people wanted to take this event and make it something else. They wanted to really be able to talk to these people and get them to consider the Bay Area strongly. I think those plans were not the original plans when we were designing the convention. I think these were afterthoughts, and they were good afterthoughts. They just didn't take place. It just wasn't there.
Any other parting shots, you the token Democrat for the host committee, that you would like to get out there?
I don't want to take any parting shots. It's an excellent event to second guess. I do think there were some heroes out there. I do think that Al Austin is somebody that this area owes a tremendous debt of gratitude for bringing this here, for putting it together. He certainly had tremendous amount of help, but I think without his true belief that this area should have this, I don't think anybody else would have fought for the number of years he did to get this here, and I think he owes, we owe him a debt of gratitude. I think the mayor, as a Democratic mayor, embraced this in a way that the Republicans could not have asked any other mayor to do so. I mean, he really, got involved and did whatever he could to make them have this safe, successful event. I think that our police chief, Castor, tremendous job. She really did a great outreach, and she kept her people from, going overboard and having those negative images. Don't have any parting shots. I really, probably the guy who maybe came out the biggest loser in this might be St. Petersburg Mayor Bill Foster. He promised his community that this party wasn't going to cost him anything. Looks like it's going to cost him some money.
Big ticket.
He's now in the position of trying to, weasel his way out of this. He looks very bad. City Council's going to rake him over the coals. I think it actually could have the biggest cost to him politically. I don't think anybody else pays a negative price for this. I think most of them get a positive.
And Patrick, thanks again. We appreciate you so much joining us. Is terrific insight on the RNC, and hopefully get a chance to come and speak with you again.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
I am Eric Odum. I'm the principal real estate broker for ROI Commercial Property Brokerage in Tampa, Florida, and thank you for joining us.